everything. Looking forward to that. I think the plan, by the way, for those who are interested in college football daily fantasy is Ben, myself, David, and maybe Jordan are going to be doing the show on Friday. And then also we might have Jordan come on the second half of the show tomorrow to talk about Thursday's slate specifically for a little bit. No confirmation on that, but maybe something that'll happen. You can't see him, but David is finally back from the Bahamas behind the scenes doing his thing. It's great to have him back. We love him. We missed him, and I'm here with Derek to talk about daily fantasy baseball on what is Derek. It is the last day where this will be my where it will get my undivided attention.
That makes me so sad that baseball's coming to an end. I know you're like so excited about it, but it makes me sad.
Well, I just have just intense attention deficit disorder. So just focusing on one thing for many months on an end is kind of monotonous for me.
Baseball is definitely a grind. I mean, I'm sure in a way that football fans can't even comprehend, but
Yeah, it's sweating daily fantasy baseball games, like watching the whole, watching turning the MLB TV package on after lineups lock and then sweating it for the next 4 hours is it is a sweat that you don't get in any other sport. Which I'm sure you're gonna learn very soon, Derek, because
I'm
you have the
excited to do these other
sickness.
sports, but I love baseball so much. Like, I know I'm gonna get just as obsessed with football and basketball, but it's hard because I don't know, baseball is like my true love and it's ending.
Yeah, it'll be really cool to have you get involved with the other sports because you have such an analytical way of looking at things that you'll point out stuff to me that I've never even considered before just by asking questions.
Yeah, I've already started like reading about football and basketball stuff. I bought a book that Steve recommended. It's basically like I guess like the book for basketball. So
Hmm.
I'm excited about it.
All right. Well, cool, dude. Let's start talking about today's slates. I mean, it's Kershmas today, in
Yep.
Chase Field against the Diamondbacks. I typed in our Skype chat last night. How many people do you think are going to fade Kershaw today based off the fact that his one meltdown start was against Arizona earlier in this year?
As many people who fade them, that's how many as are going to make a mistake.
Yeah, he is far and away the number one
It's
starting
not
pitcher
even
today.
yeah, it's not even close.
And that's even with Kluber, David Price throwing to and Julio Teheran. People put him in that tier. He's not there, but people consider him that level of pitcher.
Uh-huh. Yeah, he's not. Tehran is definitely like he's not at that level, but yeah. Kluber and Kluber I think is the number two, but it's like so far behind Kershaw. Like if you fade Kershaw, you're making a mistake today. Unless it's like a GPP and you're just like hoping that he randomly has, like a less than stellar outing.
Yeah, I did the podcast with Dan Strafford last night, and that was one of the things he asked me was if I could see any sort of justifiable reason for taking Kluber or Price for the dollar discount, and I just told him no way. Like when Kershaw pitches, he's in my lineups every time. But
And he should be. I mean, he's just that good. The matchup doesn't even really matter. Like he's just that good.
no, I told him the only time I faded him all year was when he pitched in Coors and he had 8 scoreless innings with 9 Ks.
Uh-huh.
So it
Course,
really
Course is
does
the
hurt.
only time when he might not be the top option, but even then, he's still like second or third. But maybe you don't want to pay for him because he's so expensive. But he's just so good. Like it really doesn't matter. Anything aside from that, you just got to play him.
Someone just asked, even for 14.8K on DraftKings, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. Like you got to. I'm actually looking at DraftKings now to see like how to make it work, but you just have to because he's just that 14.8 is so expensive. I mean, you pair him. I'm thinking of pairing him with Gallardo, and it's still like 27K left, so it gets ugly. But I mean, I think especially on DraftKings when he's so expensive, that's almost when you're gonna have the most value from playing him because people are gonna see the price tag, they're gonna fade him, and as long as he's Kershaw, he's gonna earn the price tag, and you just have to find a couple of hitting bargains and you're cashing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, last night, I mean, how many people took value starting pitching options last night and ended up being disappointed when Madison Bumgarner had the game that he had?
Yep.
Like, and obviously Kershaw is a much better pitcher than Madison Bumgarner is.
Oh,
He he
absolutely.
he doesn't have the same park advantage. that Bumgarner had last night, but he certainly had a similar lineup situation. I mean, this Diamondbacks lineup is just decimated. Like I couldn't even tell you who their best player is right now.
You broke up there for a second.
Did
But I
I?
think you're
I'm
talking about
sorry.
how bad the Diamondbacks lineup is, and you're right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Inciarte first. Even against the best lefty in baseball, Kirk Gibson sticks by his guns and bats Inciarte first. Like,
Yep.
you got to give him credit at least for just like, I don't know, stubbornness.
No, I don't have to give him credit, Derek. I really don't, and
uh,
I will never do it. Was Kirk Gibson was like a really good player, right? Like back when
yeah,
he played
he was
baseball.
good. Montero's not even in the lineup tonight. It's either Pacheco or
Tuffy.
Gooswick or Goswick. Yeah, whichever one of them is behind the plate. Probably Tuffy. Yeah, it's just an ugly lineup. Pennington batting second, Marte fifth. Oh my gosh, Kershaw is just gonna decimate these guys. Just pay whatever it costs for Kershaw. Just pay it.
Yeah, Kyle just typed in chat that it's Tuffy. And I mean, okay, so obviously the reason you don't want to spend on starting pitcher is because you'd like to get some quality hitting options in. Let me just go ahead and give you a list of guys who are in pretty good spots and are very cheap on DraftKings. Whichever
Jesus
one.
Guzman is at the top of your list, I'm sure.
Well,
I wrote him up today
I was
too.
getting there. Yeah, he's 2100 on DraftKings. At shortstop, Zach Walters is in a pretty good spot against Hector Noesi.
Yep.
At first base, Adam Lind is pretty cheap and has a pretty good matchup against Joe Kelly. And then at catcher, I don't think a Padres lineup is out, but whichever one of Rene Rivera or Yasmani Grandal gets to play will be incredibly cheap and also in a pretty good spot.
I agree with most of those guys. I think we don't have a lineup there yet, but Matt Duffy, if he's in the lineup for San Francisco tonight, I mean, if you're gonna punt a spot, shortstop's a great spot to punt, and he's 1.8. So
Yeah, and even just having one of those guys who is the bare minimum salary can change entirely what you're able to do with your lineup. Like it frees
yeah,
up so much.
yeah. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
looking at the optimal right now with Kershaw and Gallardo, and with Duffy in there and Guzman. I have other guys in there, like it's putting in Jose Bautista and Carlos Santana and Adam Lind, and like guys who are actually good. So there's definitely ways to make your roster good with a couple of those kind of guys in there.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So we should talk about Kluber and Price a little bit. I mean, just because there will be people who don't listen to us and who say I'm not paying that price tag for Clayton Kershaw no matter what it is. So if you were gonna go with one of Price or Kluber, who would it be?
It's Kluber easily for me. Like it's not even a question. And I know Dan wrote up pictures also today, and he called them like 2A and 2B, and people I know are on Price. But for me, I think Kluber is easily the top option.
I
The
agree.
reason, okay, I'm glad. The reason being for me is that Kluber's going to give up more runs because he's in the cell against a good offense in Chicago. But Kluber is like a legitimate ace at this point. Like he's good. He's as good as Price, if not better.
Yeah.
He's going to give up a couple runs, and he's probably going to get a win because he's up against Hector Noesi. So I think the matchup there is really good, aside from him probably giving up 2 or 3 runs. And then with
Yeah.
Price, the Yankees don't strike out. Slightly not as extreme as the
Is
Price is
that
going to have a hard time striking guys out. And I think Shane Green's a pretty decent pitcher.
is that the new meme? Is that the Yankees don't strike out? Sorry, I think my internet's actually being weird today. For a change.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. I think
Okay, yeah.
my internet's being weird. This is the worst. Oh no, it's Cardi again.
God damn it. Ugh. Okay, well, that will be the new meme when I'm not the only one saying it, I think is what I said.
Okay, and I mean, I agree with you. Like a lot of those guys are not super strikeout heavy. Just I mean, if you look at their lineup, and then I mean, I guess the I don't hate this White Sox lineup as much as I did 2 weeks ago before Garcia and Eaton came off the DL. It's a different lineup now, but
Uh-huh.
Kluber's still the play, like undoubtedly. I
Yeah.
think.
Uh-huh. Completely agree.
Yeah. Real quick, can I get your Avisail Garcia hot take. I mean, he had a good game last night. Do you
Oh,
think he's good?
when he's healthy, he's good. I mean, he's just off the DL, so it's hard to know exactly what to expect. But he's a good guy. He was, not like a highly touted prospect because he's like a little bit with Detroit, but like when he came up, like there were people that were excited. Am I cutting out again?
No, you're good.
Okay. Like there were people that were excited about him. And now that he's with Chicago, which is a really good environment for him with the Sale and with Robin Ventura liking to run a little bit, he'll probably steal a few bases occasionally. He'll hit for some power. He's a good player.
Cool. All right, so now let's do second starting pitching options. For me, it's Zach Wheeler. Just with the way his price falls and with the matchup, that's who I really like. Do you have a differing opinion?
I do, although I can't begrudge you Wheeler because I think he's a good play. If this other guy wasn't in play today, Wheeler would be my guy.
Okay,
But
so who's your guy?
my guy is Giovanni Gallardo
All
because
right.
he's going to save me 700 on DraftKings, and I think he's a little bit better play than Wheeler anyway. Um, he's been really good this year. I mean, aside from his strikeout rate falling, which is what everyone sees, he's actually been better this year than he has in years past because he's improved his control and he's getting a lot of ground balls. He's using his sinker and his changeup more, which might have something to do with the strikeouts, but they're generating grounders more, and he's working down in the zone a little bit more when he needs to. So Gallardo's a good pitcher. He's in Petco, which increases strikeouts anyway, and against the Padres, who are awful.
What is your hot take on the Padres offense getting like statistically better since the All-Star break? Is it just the platoon thing?
Um, I mean, maybe some of that. I think they've added a couple guys. Like they've added Solarte into the lineup. I think Maben's back. Like it's a little bit different lineup than they had. But
Yeah.
they're not a good offense.
Well, Chase Headley was just, I mean, he was
Yeah,
so bad.
yeah, and Headley's gone. So
Yeah.
yeah.
They got Abraham Almonte out here hitting dongs. Like
Mhm.
it
Yeah,
was
I mean
really
they.
funny. Last night, Almonte hit that home run, and Jordan was just like, "Who is that?" And I was like, "Oh, he just batted leadoff for a team that's fighting for a playoff spot for 3 months, and then they DFA'd him."
Yeah, they have the kind of hitters where when they're in a different park, they're going to be like great value plays because they're so cheap and because the context shift is so favorable. But like in terms of looking at pitchers playing against them in Petco, like the sum total of them is just really bad.
Yeah, I'm good with that. Although I still do think that I don't hate Rene Rivera or Grandal tonight. If like I end up being that situation on DraftKings, just because and maybe I guess I haven't pulled up Gallardo's Fangraphs page today, but it's my thinking that he does give up like a fair amount of fly balls. See or nah?
You cut out again. I didn't hear anything you just said.
Okay, it was just my thinking that Gallardo gives up a fair amount of fly balls.
You know,
Are you good?
now I am.
Okay, it was just my thinking that Gallardo gives up a fair amount of fly balls.
Um, well, he
Derek, bro, you're
home runs
killing me.
anyway.
Yeah,
Oh my God, why is my computer doing that?
it might be because you have something taped on it. Okay, well, Ben says that he doesn't. So I guess we can just start talking about hitting because, I mean, real quick, let me do Wheeler. I mean, the reason that I think that Wheeler is a good play is just because one is I sort of have an irrational hatred of the Braves because Ben is such a big fan of them and I like to be contrarian against Ben whenever possible. But also, I mean, if you just look at their lineup, Goslin, Upton, Gaddis, Andrelton, Upton, like he's just going to have a lot of righties that strike out a lot going up against him, which is pretty optimal. And I'm about it. And also, I just like guys that throw hard. I mean, this comes back to a meme that was a thing at the beginning of the
What is
season.
going on?
You are cutting out, and I'm talking about Zach Wheeler and how
Yeah,
he's going to strike out a bunch of Braves.
yeah, I'm hearing clips of it. I don't know why my thing is being so weird.
Well, we might have Mr. Hot Take himself come on if he's around. I'm not sure. We'll see. But I mean, I'm just gonna keep talking about Zach Wheeler while they figure this out because I think that he probably is. I think he's probably the optimal play on DraftKings that rewards strikeouts so exponentially. And I mean, obviously, like FanDuel does too. But I really think that I'm pretty interested in taking him against. And let me go look the Vegas lineup on him. I haven't looked at it since this morning. I'm gonna be interested to see if it's moved at all. I'm sorry that this keeps happening, y'all, but you are getting so many Davis Maddock hot takes, so I actually don't feel all that bad about it. People love my hot takes, even if they don't want to admit it. I mean, Wheeler. Oh, Wheeler is actually not favored in this game, but anytime you can take a pitcher in a 6.5 over under game, like, you got to be pretty happy about it.
Yeah. And I think people overestimate how good Tehran really is. Like he's a decent pitcher. He's not like a great one.
Yeah, I mean, what does your system have like his underlying stuff at? Because people think he's been like Cy Young contender ish level.
Yeah,
Derek's internet is trolling.
I think it's
Um,
like 3.5 or 3.6.
Yeah, see, and that's not a great pitcher at all, honestly. Like that's a pretty middling pitcher at best.
Yeah.
Oh, oh, Mr. Hot Take himself is coming in. Ben Pritchett is about to be on the show to talk about hitting with me. I'm just gonna have him talk about Jorge Soler's swing for like 15 minutes. If you guys haven't had a chance to look at the news blurbs today, I haven't done that many, but the one that I did see was that normally when FanDuel brings a new player into the system, they give them a $3,000 price tag. That's like their default price tag. But they brought in Jorge Soler in the outfield for 2,200. So that's pretty amazing. And I'm definitely going to be playing him. He's not available on Draft Day or DraftKings, which is pretty disappointing. But I'm going to play him anyways. There are a bunch of cheap outfield options, but at the end of the day, like a power hitter in Great American Ballpark is pretty awesome. I'm going to start talking about some of the stacks that I like. I think the first team that I'm going to be looking to stack, obviously, is the Twins against Liam Hendricks and the Royals. So typical of the Royals organization. In the middle of a pennant race, they're bringing in Liam Hendricks, he of the 6.72 outfield, Joe Mauer at first base, or catcher eligible on DraftKings. All of those guys really are pretty good options. Outside of that, I mean, I mentioned this on the podcast this morning, um, with Dan Strafford. But I think that also the Astros against Drew Pomeranz. I do think Pomeranz is a hashtag pretty good pitcher, but the Astros are so good at hitting right-handed pitching, and they can just go with righties all the way up and down, which I think they have in their lineup. They have Fowler batting fourth. They have Grossman leading off, Tuve batting second. But most importantly for your lineups, Jesus Guzman, who is batting fifth, pretty solid spot. I like all of those guys against Pomeranz. The one thing is that most of the Astros batters have trouble with off speed stuff, and that's sort of what Pomeranz gets by on. You know, he doesn't throw incredibly hard, but he has that knuckle curve. He has a pretty solid change. What's up, Ben?
What's up, man?
Are we gonna get some Ben Pritchett hot takes?
Did David cue the music for the closer to come in and take care of this game? I mean, because I'm ready.
Yeah, it's Enter the Sandman, dude.
Yes.
Oh, Ben, let's fire off these hot takes, dude.
Yeah, we'll see. Let's do it.
Okay.
Now y'all have to give me a little bit of a pass. I'm looking at this while looking at college football stuff to prep up for Saturday. So if we need to fill some time, I can definitely give you some hot takes on the college football, a little preview.
Well, we can do that. We can do that near the end. But I mean, I did my research for this show in English 798. So we're both coming at it like that. Although I did set lineups this morning. First of all, I can't get a real opinion on Drew Pomeranz from anyone. What's your Drew Pomeranz take? Because I disagree with everyone about him.
You know, he has a lot of skills. I like him a lot better in Oakland than in Colorado, obviously. But you know, with the way that they love left-handed pitchers down there in Colorado, I'm surprised that they even let him go. But yeah, how do you feel about him? I want to hear what you have to say about him first, and I'll tell you what I have to say because I have a very distinct opinion about him.
Well, Ben, it wouldn't be you if you didn't have a distinct opinion about him. I think taking Astros bats against him is a good idea, but in general, I think he's a really good pitcher. I've gotten in arguments with Drew and Derek about his overall skill before. Like when he starts at home, even when he was coming out of the pen and was throwing like 5 innings, I thought he was like a great play on DraftKings. But tonight in Minute Maid, like I like Jesus Guzman and Altuve a lot.
Yeah, you know, he's a really, really good pitcher. I really like him, but I have an affinity for young lefties, and he fits that kind of profile as a young lefty. Gets good ground ball rates. I'm pulling up his walks right now, which is very important for lefties. They're a little high. He still needs to get that under control. XFIP looks pretty good. You know, he's one of those guys where he is going to definitely benefit from being in O.co. Being in Houston and Minute Maid, he is going to take a little hit. Going with the righties makes sense. He's given up 7 home runs this year and not a whole lot of innings, 55.2 innings. So there's that element of power that you have to worry about with the Astros anytime they come in. So yeah, I see what you're saying. I agree with you, I guess 100%. So our hot takes match up.
Oh, that's awful.
Yeah, I don't know what to do about that. But with Jose Altuve, you can never go wrong with that guy. He's just so fantastic as a leadoff hitter. I'm so jealous as a Braves fan that we do not have a guy like that. I was saying sell everybody we have to get Jose Altuve because he gets on base, he does everything right. He can steal bases.
There's a hot take. Ben, you didn't disappoint. I mean, you guys have Phil Gosselin though. Is he not everything that you want in a leadoff guy?
The lineup they rolled out, I think last night or the night before, was one of my favorites that they've done this whole year. And what they did was they put Jason Hayward back up at 1, which is what I guess you have to do. And then just kind of filled out and took who did they take out? BJ Upton. Yeah, they took BJ Upton out of the game, which is always
he's batting 8th today, but
yeah, life is better when he's not around. But you know, you're hearing rumors. You're hearing rumors swirling that they're going to move Gaddis or Upton or Hayward in the offseason, which is just a shame because I wish it was BJ that they were moving, but nobody will take that guy.
Yeah. All right, well, we're gonna start giving people fantasy advice about games that are happening right now.
Sounds good.
Starting at the catcher position. Are you on Posey again against Franklin Morales? I assume after what he did for you last night that you probably
Sure.
are looking at him as the top option of the night. And I mean, Franklin Morales is the worst lefty on the staff. Like he's worse than Matzek. He's way worse than De La Rosa is.
Yeah, I'm totally on that. Any right-handers you can get for San Francisco, even the cheap ones, is a really good idea. We don't have a lineup yet. Am I correct? We don't have a lineup on that.
Correct.
Yeah. So I mean, you got to automatically pencil in, Pence and Posey and then Morse. But I don't hate Pagan. I don't hate. Oh gosh, who are some other righties that they
Matt Duffy for 1,800 on DraftKings.
Yeah, Matt Duffy. Gosh, are we? That's a little desperate. I mean, if you're doing a stack and you need him to just finish it off, then I understand. But gosh, you're hoping that he steals bases on a lefty with, I'm assuming, Willen Rosario behind the plate, who has a good arm.
No, it's going to be McHenry again. Rosario has a hurt wrist. He hasn't played since Saturday or maybe Friday.
Okay, well if it's McHenry, then I'm feel a little bit better about it, but it's still lefty on the mound. So you've got to work with Duffy getting on base first, and then you can be happy about the stolen base potential. But it's not ideal, but it'll work.
Yeah, I mean, I think that you told me how wrong I was earlier, but I kind of like Yasmani Grandal if he ends up catching for the Padres tonight, even though Gallardo apparently does not struggle with fly balls, and my memory was serving me incorrect. But you have to go. I mean, Kershaw is almost 1,500 on DraftKings tonight, so it's really hard. It's really hard to construct a lineup. Period. Really.
I actually think Gallardo's pitching really well this year. I might be in the minority on that, but if you look at his peripherals and all his other stats, they look really solid. And anybody running up against the Padres is a good play. If you live by the mantra of I'll live and die by with pitchers facing the Padres in Petco, you will.
What about Tyler Matzek versus them in Coors, Ben?
I don't know what you're talking about.
I know this was. I mean, this was a long time ago because this is back when Draft Street was still a thing. But you totally played a qualifier with Tyler Matzek as one of your starting pitchers in Coors against the Padres. You did that.
Yeah, I'm not as. I also won a $2,000 pitching players using hitters in Petco when that's like the place you don't play hitters at, so.
Oh, Ben, don't even because I know exactly what you're talking about. It was 2 days ago when who's there? Who's the lefty?
They had
Stoltz
yeah.
and Crush did well, Aramis did well, and I liked him, but it tilts me so hard when you're right about that stuff because then you're just like, oh, park factor. What's park factor? I don't care.
Yeah, I'm a little bad about that. We've talked about that before. There's got to be a happy medium, and I need to discover where's mine because I'm a little bit too lackadaisical about the park factors than I should be. So,
all right. Well, let's go on. Let's talk about middle infield a little bit. Do you think? I think just looking at the way the values worked out, Jose Ramirez batting second against Hector Noesi, he should have second base and shortstop eligibility on DraftKings and second base eligibility on FanDuel. I think he's looking like a guy that I kind of want to lock in. I guess I don't know much about him as a player. Do you have any sort of knowledge on him as a player?
Yeah, Ramirez is one of those guys it's not a fantasy guy. He's one of those baseball guys, those guys that just find their way into lineups, and he's batting second, which growing up that seems to be the spot where a lot of teams throw their useless players, because you have your leadoff man, then you have the useless player, and then you'll have your 3, 4, or 5 power guys to drive in the guy that you probably bunted over to second and whatever, get RBIs. So Jose Ramirez is kind of that useless player. Some teams like the Cubs, they put Javier Baez at number 2. So I guess there's not a whole lot of rhyme and reason to it. But yeah, not interested in Jose Ramirez. I do like Zach Walters. Davis, that's one of our guys that we are.
Yeah, I'm a fan.
We are fans together on lots of power. in that little dude, and he had it in the minors this year. I remember before he even came up, I was throwing that out. I threw it out on Twitter. I was like, watch this kid. He's gonna break through, and he broke through with the power, but the average is way far behind. It looks like right now, but I can deal with that, especially if you pair him with maybe a Chisenhall. I know Chisenhall's been awful lately, but
dude, he has cratered. Like since the 3 home run game against Nick Martinez, he's just been miserable.
It's been really bad. But I don't know how cheap he is today, but he's been getting cheaper and cheaper by the day. So
I don't know either, but Walters is crazy cheap.
Walters is my play. If you're going in against Noesi, Walters is the guy because he's hitting tons of big flies, and Noesi's a crappy fly ball pitcher.
Okay. We talked about this on the podcast a little bit last night, Strafford and I. What do you think about Jacob Turner? I said that maybe I could see him as sort of a tournament starting pitching option just because the Reds lineup has been so miserable. But I don't know anything about him from a prospect standpoint. I just know that all his peripherals were really good, and that's sort of what led the Cubs to pick him up. What do you think about maybe on the other side taking Brandon Phillips, Chris Negron, Schumacher, any of those guys against him, because you're going to need to punt somewhere with Clayton on the mound.
Yeah. Hot take time.
I'm ready.
I'm going Reds. I think the Reds are very stackable against Jacob Turner. That one's in Great American. Am I right? It's in Great American. Yeah, dude, that's crazy. They have righties that can hit righties really well, and he's a reverse splits righty, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm glad that I get to be the closer here because I will use the word reverse splits, and our boy Derek Carty will not use the word reverse splits, and he would be missing out on all these wonderful Cincinnati Reds bats. But mainly Mesoraco in his 1-for-35 slump. I think it's about time for him to bust out of that. So he's good where he's cheap. Like I think he's cheap on FanDuel. He's a good option as a catcher play. Looking it over, I mean, other than that, as a righty hitting righties is probably Frazier. Other than that, I wouldn't really go with anybody. So maybe I'm not a anti-Turner guy as much as I thought on this particular matchup. But there's some homers in here. He's going to give up a homer at least.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just trying to look at guys in the middle infield who could just because they're not anyone there. I mean, I do really want to spend on Altuve tonight, I think, against Pomeranz. I mean, he is just automatic against left-handed pitching. Like, never use batting average, obviously, because it's like just one of the noisiest stats and doesn't tell you a lot. But dude is hitting .430 against left-handed pitching this season. Like, it's just, you don't see stuff like that very often. So I think I am, for 3,400 on FanDuel, like, I'm forcing him in.
Yeah, you need Asdrubal Cabrera. I know we're switching around a little bit. I'm just kind of glancing over some of these middle infielders. I don't think Asdrubal is going to save you a whole lot of money, but I like him as a lefty against Kyle Kendrick. I'll take a lefties against Kendrick.
Bro, he's batting 8th, man.
Don't care. I don't care. I don't care.
Ben. Oh, Ben.
I don't care. What? Since when did batting order determine your ability to smack a pitcher? Because if it's up to me, I'll take the guy that can smack the pitcher. Now we're talking DraftKings. Maybe you take him down a little bit because on DraftKings you don't get penalized for bats. But I mean, FanDuel, I know that there's been studies and the guys up at the top of the order are better. Yeah, I get it, and that makes sense. But in this case, we're attacking Kyle Kendrick. I'm fine with it. Pair him with Harper, LaRoche, go lefty heavy and pop him.
Well, you can't. There's no one can take any of those guys today with the way prices are working out. I just don't think it's possible. I will say at shortstop though, I like JJ Hardy against Drew Smyly. I wish he was a little bit less expensive, but he might be someone at shortstop that I try and work in. I think that Smiley's been very good, yeah, but the Orioles just up and down hit right-handed pitching so well that I think that puts him in a good spot.
Yeah, I don't hate that.
Okay, cool. Well, real quick, let's do first base real quick. What is Jesus Guzman any good at all, or is he just? I think that's who I'm using at first base on FanDuel and on outfield on DraftKings for sure, batting 5th against Pomeranz. But I want you to tell me if that's like how bad he is, honestly.
He's not bad. I mean, looking at their lineup right now as I just pulled it up, it's they went really right-handed, man. Do they even have? They don't have a lefty in the lineup today.
Yeah, well,
So
they'll pinch hit him if they have to, but they have They have Kraus on the bench. They have Corcoran, switch hitter if they need him, and one other guy that I can't think of right now that they can pinch hit. But yeah,
they have Corporon in the lineup. So yeah, he's fine play. He'd have to be like if you're running Kershaw at that extreme price point, you're gonna need guys like him. So I'm fine with it if you're squeezing in Kershaw, perfectly okay. I think that I'm looking at this Diamondbacks lineup against Kershaw, and it's really bad. So you kind of have to do what it takes to get him in.
Yeah, no, like that's what Derek and I were saying is that no matter what, like you sort of just have to play Kershaw tonight. Like, and I think that's true. Also, other first base options, I really like both Mauer and Kenny Vargas against Liam Hendricks. He's just so bad. Both of them will have the platoon advantage on him. It's not a great park, but Liam Hendricks is so bad that I'm not necessarily sure it matters.
Yeah, that's cool. I'm fine with that. I like Brandon Moss. If you had the money against Peacock. Let's see. I heard y'all giving hot takes on Avisel Garcia. That's my boy. Not a first baseman, but
real quick, Ben, just in the chat, but people mentioned both Mike Morse and Adam Lind. I think those are like I'm using Morse in the outfield on DraftKings, but Morse for first base on FanDuel also very good play against Morales.
Love that play. That if you're going Kershaw, that's where I would go. That's where I'd start. Kershaw, and then him, and then maybe Posey if you can squeeze him in. I know Pence is so freaking expensive, so the two that you might have to just settle on with the Giants are Morse and Posey if you can do it.
True or false? Hunter Pence is one of your favorite non-Brave players ever.
Why do you think that?
Because he's a quote. This is how you described him. He's a quote old school baller.
No, I think I like the way that he goes out. It's the same reason why I like Gaddis. I mean, no batting gloves, chokes up on the bat. I mean, nobody should hit like Hunter Pence does. I mean, it doesn't make sense. But he hits and plays in such a way that it works, and I like it.
Yeah.
It's just,
okay.
Yeah. I'm not gonna admit that he's one of my favorite players not on the Braves. I like Jose Abreu. Let's talk about Jose Abreu.
Jose Abreu is not playable today.
I know, but he's one of my favorite players not on the Braves.
Yeah, I'm sure he is.
And Josh Hamilton was too before he stopped doing drugs or whatever it is that was making him better.
Yeah. Other than that, at first base, I mean, it's not like a super good position today. Rizzo's getting the day off in Great American, so you don't have him as a tournament play. I could see actually Lucas Duda against Tehran. I think is actually a really good tournament play, just because he has been mashing lately, and Tehran is not near as good as you think he is.
Yeah, play that if you want to lose.
Sure. All right, let's do third base real quick, and then we're gonna go to outfield. And I'm gonna let you talk about Jorge Soler. I actually really like Mike Moustakas tonight against Phil Hughes because Hughes has actually been a lot better this season. But when he struggles with home runs. That's why he couldn't pitch in Yankee Stadium, and that's why he's had a better year with the Twins. But I think that at his price point, I think Moustakas is one of the better options against Hughes tonight.
Yeah, I'm totally with you on that. I think that's a great play, especially as cheap as he is right now, and he's finally starting to hit. So, yeah, I'm with you on that 100%.
Your Chisenhall call as well also is pretty good. And then don't hate Luis Valbuena batting up in the order in Great American against Latos at all. Yeah, someone just mentioned Valbuena in the chat. I definitely, like, he's super cheap. I think he's $2,900 on FanDuel. I think he's pretty solid tonight.
Yeah, you're also going to run into... let's see. I just had a guy right here that we were talking about. I like some of the Brewers bats, even against our boy, or I don't know if he's anybody's boy, Despagne.
That is not my boy. He's bad.
I know. I started to say that, and I was like, I don't think he's anybody's boy. So I need
he's
to
not anybody's boy.
Yeah, he's so bad. Like he's way outpitched his peripherals. It's like not even funny. And so that whole Brewers Brewers lineup is still in play even in Petco. So
Yeah, well, he had like what, like one earned run given up through his first 5 starts or something like that, and then he's just been shelled every start since then. Like
Scooter,
I don't think it was that dramatic.
our boy Scooter's down to 3.3 at DraftKings.
Yeah,
So
Scoots for sure.
yeah, he's a great middle. I'm just trying to get some of these middle infielders that we might have missed. He's a great one. If I'm not going Walters, I'm going Scooter.
Okay. Well, Ben, it is time for you to educate the listeners because we're going to transition to outfield. I want you to educate our listeners on Jorge Soler and what he brings to the table, batting fifth for the Cubs.
I mean, he's just. I'm not prepared with an actual scouting report, but
it's better this way.
You like it this way, more pure hot takes.
I like it raw.
He's a young bat Cuban. I think most people liked him when he first came out of Cuba at 18, when there was the big bidding wars going on. A lot of scouts liked him more than Cespedes. So there was a huge debate of who's going to be right. Now we're finally starting to see who's going to be right. I mean, Soler's still only 22 years old. He's finally going to get his chance. He's been just straight phenomenal this year in the minors. I'm looking at his stats right now. He had a 415 average through his first 79 at bats in Double-A this year. So he's definitely swinging a good bat. 14 homers in the minors. Has average power. One of those prototype 5-tool guys. Doesn't steal bases. What?
You're just being Ben so much. It's so good. We don't say these words on this show ever. You are the only one who drops the 5-tool or swinging a good bat ever.
Well, you should use those words because they're good baseball words. What the heck is going on?
No, I'm using him on FanDuel. He's 2,200 on FanDuel. I'm locking that in. And great. I think he's gonna do what Javi Baez did in his first game and be super super frustrating for 8 innings and then hit a home run in the 9th inning in a really homer friendly park.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm ready to just give him a home run, but he definitely has a good enough bat where he can get on base and create some things like get those counting stats. If he could get get on base twice and get somebody else to knock him in, then yeah, I like him a lot. I just pulled up his minor league splits, which I think is really important. Let's see how he does against righties, because I don't even know that.
Well, keep in mind he played in the PCL, so all of his numbers are going to be inflated a lot.
Which is there, if that's the case, and I'm with you, they are normally inflated when you come out of the PCL, but they're not that. I'm looking at his whole career in the minors. He has a .212 ISO, which we'd say that's pretty good.
Yeah.
And
you want any prospect, sort of a power prospect, to be above 200.
But he has a .331 against lefties. 12 of his 28 homers have come against lefties. So on a much less plate appearances. So yeah, he's obviously much better against lefties. But he's serviceable. Latos isn't a bad pitcher though, man. I don't know.
No, he's fine, but I just want to use it's the shiny new toy, Ben. I roster Javi Baez almost every single night in a tournament lineup or two just because I think he's so fun.
Yeah, and he's a fun one, and he's going to be highly owned, I would imagine, just because people want to have.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
At a min, and you got to squeeze Kershaw in. He's going to be crazy owned, and if he homers, and you don't have him, you're going to lose everything. They're with Kershaw and Soler, they're going to win all of it. Yeah. So yeah, that's a tough play if you fade it.
Okay. Real quick, do you like? I really like the Orioles outfielders Adam Jones and Nelson Cruz tonight. Cruz is really discounted. He is 3,300 on FanDuel tonight. I know Smiley is a pretty good pitcher. You probably have a hot take on Smiley's ability to throw a baseball and the price trade, but it's a really good hitting environment, and I think he might get knocked out of the game kind of early just because Baltimore is so good at hitting right-handed pitching.
Yeah, my hot take on Smiley is as long as his slider's hitting, he can just dominate. But if it's even off just a little bit and he has to start locating his fastball to right-handed bats, they smash him. I don't know how many home runs he's given up this year to righties, but it's a lot. And so you're dealing with an Orioles team that is generates pretty much all their offense these days from the righty bats. It makes perfect sense. I don't know how you're going to roster Adam Jones and Nelson Cruz with Clayton Kershaw, though. You'd have to.
I have Soler, Walters, Guzman, and some punt catcher. It fits. Like, that's the whole thing about Kershaw tonight. With some of these lower priced guys being in such a good spot, I don't think you have to sacrifice all that much to play Kershaw tonight. Like, any more than I don't think it's any more than you would have to have sacrificed last night to play Madison Bumgarner and Tyson Ross. Like, you can find equal value, I think, with the way tonight's slate is.
That Madison Bumgarner play. Kudos to Derek on that one, man. I'm giving him all the props on that one.
Even though I had him on every team, you're giving him to Derek?
Goes to Derek. He's the one that had him as a cover boy, man. You get that cover boy and that cover boy hits, then you're golden.
All right. Awesome. Well, before I let you go, I want you to guarantee a home run tonight that's obvious and then one that's a little bit more under the radar.
Okay. My guaranteed home run is going to be Yasiel Puig against Wade Miley.
He is 2,800 on FanDuel.
Well, then you have no excuses for not rostering him. Right. That would be my guaranteed home run. You want to get super hot take? I'll give you.
Yes, I do, Ben. Yes,
I
do.
Okay, let's go here. My not so guaranteed and really pushing it is going to be Alfredo Marte.
What, Ben? No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Although, honestly, though, I think the STL Cards tweeted this out, but only 2 players have hit a home run off of Kershaw all season. One of them was Peter Borjos, and I don't remember who the other one was, but it was just some utility infielder. It was totally just no good players have hit a home run off him. So if someone hits him, it might be Marte.
So did you just agree with me?
No one's hitting. He's going. Clayton's gonna dominate tonight. He's not gonna give up an earned run.
Yeah, he's probably gonna dominate. But for fun, for kicks and giggles, it's Marte.
All right. Well, my obvious one is gonna be Nelson Cruz, and my under the radar will be Jesus Guzman. I think Guzman has a significantly better chance of hitting a home run than Marte, but he'll probably get pinch hit for.
Guzman's I think that's a great under the radar play. Really, I'm proud of you.
You're proud of me? Well, don't be, because I just play Astros almost every day.
So there's not really much strategy into it. It's just who's the Astros.
Well, anytime they're against a left-handed pitcher, I think that they're always under-owned against left-handed pitching is the thing. There's a ton of equity that you can gain by taking them against lefties. Because
I totally agree with you. That's a backed fact right there. What you just said is taking Astros against lefties is a good idea. So.
Yeah. Oh, do you have any more? I mean, you haven't been on a baseball show. You've been on 2 all season. Do you have any hot takes you'd like to drop on the people?
Man, you're keeping tabs on my baseball shows? I've been on 2 podcasts too, by the way, that you guys need to be downloading and listening to. The GPP, which is really good stuff. I mean, those guys put in, Laffy and Dan Strafford put in a lot of good work on that stuff. It's really fun. And we've been killing it when we've been on there. So definitely something y'all want to check out. But yeah, I'm trying to think of some things that it's tough right now because as we're transitioning to college football, my brain is already starting to push into, this lovely fall time of year. And I brought out my wine tonight because we're getting ready to start these college football shows, and it's going to be good times. So
it is going to be a good time, everyone. I'm super excited. It's going to be great. Not very many people watched the college football shows last year comparatively to what we're doing now because we were still in our beta, but it's going to be great. And you guys are going to get to meet Jordan Case, and you guys are going to hate him.
Jordan's a good little dude, man. I don't know if he's little. I've never seen him.
No, dude. He's he's jacked.
Oh, okay. Well,
he's out sitting in the living room right now doing nothing probably.
That's awesome. Yeah, we're planning on doing the college football show on this Friday afternoon. Stay tuned to our Twitter feeds and other news, and we'll try to let y'all know for sure when we're going to do it. But how the craziness goes on right now, it's hard to quite nail times with David scooting off to the Bahamas and other things. So, so just stay tuned. But right now, it's looking like Friday afternoon.
Yeah, and tomorrow's show, it's looking like we'll probably have a little bit of college football talk. Maybe we'll stay on a little bit later, something like that, during the regular baseball show. And then also, we're going to give Cardi the day off tomorrow to go figure out what's going on with his computer. I'll be back tomorrow with Napster Man. I think if he's able, honestly, he might have just disintegrated at some point in the Bahamas. Like all of the sun might have just actually ripped his physical being in twain. But if he made it back, then he'll be on with me and Dan, and we'll be talking about baseball in what will be my first divided attention show. So we'll see how it goes. For everyone here at Fantasy Insiders, the daily fantasy show that's sponsored by FantasyElite, the daily fantasy app that you can get in the App Store on iTunes, as well as play online now. I'll sign off. Everyone, have a good day. Win some money, win some stuff. If you have any questions, hit us up on Twitter.
Peace, guys.